Hello, everyone, and welcome. If you're joining us just now, you should see a poll popped on your screen. Please take a moment to let us know if you've heard about dragon dreaming before. And I'm going to leave the poll open for now. And yeah, welcome, everyone. I am super happy to see all your faces or all your avatars. If you haven't met before, my name is Ana Maria. I am leading the beautiful community project here at Butter. If you're using Butter for the very, very first time, welcome to the all-in-one tool for running smooth virtual workshops. We're hoping that today you get to see some of the exciting and fun features that we have. I admit I found Dragon Dreaming, I think was a month ago, something like that, Federica, when I approached you. I found about it during one of my regular Google strolls. I sometimes just get lost in like a whirlpool, and I Google and I end up in different places. And when I found it, it captured my attention immediately because I had never heard about it before. And I'm quite a few communities for facilitators and designers and trainers and L&D professionals. I thought, oh, why is no one talking about this? And I started reading about it and said, oh, this sounds quite complex. I'd love to have someone explaining it to us. So I went on this search and to find someone who can shine a light on what Dragon Dreaming is. And that's how I found Federica. And she is a creative visual facilitator. We're going to get a glimpse into her work today. And she's an experienced moderator, and she specializes in participatory design. Now, she is applying Dragon Dreaming to different purposeful projects, community building projects, and personal development. She's going to share a couple of examples with us today. And she even wrote a book about this methodology, right, Federica? It's called Dragon Dreaming for You. So if you want to dig deeper into that, I recommend you check out her book. Now, I do have to mention that this session is recorded and it will be shared on YouTube and on the Butter community platform. So feel free to close off your camera if you feel comfortable this way, or use the chat if you don't want to speak, etc. Just make sure that you make yourself comfortable with this way of interaction. And Federica, I am so super happy that you accepted my invitation to join and host today's session. And I can't wait to learn more about this method. And with no further ado, passing the talking stick over to you. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. What is the result of the poll, actually?
There we go.
Okay.
Yes, feeling less alone now.
Yes.
But that's what today's all about, right? So I'm take us on the journey to discover Dragon Dreaming together.
Yeah, thank you, Anna, for the lovely introduction. And my name is Federica. I'm originally from Berlin, Germany. I have roots in Vietnam. My mom is from Vietnam. My dad is German, and I'm now living in Belgium, in Ghent. My husband is from Flanders. And we have a daughter who is now with 2 nationalities. And I have also family in the US. So I'm like a multicultural pool here in one person. And I discovered Dragon Dreaming in 2012. In 2011, I had my personal journey on okay, what is this now happening in my life? I've studied, I have now worked in a company for a year or 2, and I thought what is this? Is this it? And went out of that company. I was working as a consultant in the packaging industry. My first degree is packaging engineering, and the second degree I thought I'll broaden my view and do some business, which did not really broaden my view, frankly speaking. So I went on my own journey to broaden my view, which is I played a lot of music and encountered a music project, which maybe I will talk about later because I applied Dragon Dreaming there. And I went on travels. And when I came back to Berlin, my roommate, Judith, she completely changed. I was in our room, housemaid relationship. I was the one ordered and with squares and with tables, writing down the schedule for cleaning. And she was the creative one, doing like all sorts of art projects, and when I came back, all of a sudden she had changed into someone who's organizing things, like who's also thinking in an organized way. At the same time, she was fully in love, not with someone, but like with herself and the whole world. And she's like, I've been to this dragon dreaming workshop. And so I thought like, okay, what's this about? That was in 2012 when I then went to dragon dreaming workshops, and thought like, oh wow, if this kind of methodology and for like mindset behind, I would have used that, or everyone had used that in the companies I had worked for, then maybe I would not have left my job because of the more wholesomeness of the whole framework. And at the same time, I didn't quite understand it either when I just read the information, like, yeah, it's like project management, but my housemate, she came back so differently. So what is this about? So this is what this mini workshop is about, to give you a glimpse into what is dragon dreaming, of course, the theory behind it. At the same time, I want to have you a bit of experiencing it. Oh, Mira is asking, there's no one talking yet. Anna, can you?
I will check with her in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you. So we can go into the next slide with this. Our second. We are I think we could do a round of check-in here. What do you think, Anna? Instead of breakouts, or breakouts are better? We're a bit over 10.
Maybe
let's do breakouts.
Yeah.
Let's do breakouts of 3. Does that work? Yeah.
Yes.
And with the question, who are you? And why are you here? And if you have still time left, then answer the question like, what have you been dreaming of lately? Yeah. Who are you? Why are you here? What have you been dreaming of lately? You get 5 minutes in your respective rooms. And when you come back, I will ask one of you from each group to just summarize what you have been talking about. So off you go.
All right. See you in 5 minutes, everyone. Yeah, welcome back. And whoever wants to share from their group, I believe we had now 3 or 4 groups. 3 groups. Yeah. Please share what was happening in your group. Maybe Amir wants to share?
Yeah. Well, I speak for myself, but when being asked who am I find it really difficult to say who am I, that it's not the roles I'm playing or the history I had. So just saying, I don't know who am I. For the rest, I mean, like I have all these definitions and hats I'm wearing, but that was a struggle. And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Amir. It's everything is valid. Like whatever you choose to say who you are the one defining. That's my point of view. Anybody else wants to share kind of a summary from their group? Why you are here, or what have you been dreaming of lately? Maybe you can react. On the left side of Butter, there's a react button, and you can give me or a I love that. Like, how was the getting together just now? You can also put your hands just up. Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's go into what is dragon dreaming about. That's our next part. Dragon dreaming is 3 things, I would say. On the one hand, it's a process that you can follow. there are tools involved and a mindset involved, and it also has a very clear purpose. So we can have this toolbox here and this compass here. And yeah, we basically, whoever is applying Dragon Dreaming, could be me, being on a journey. And the journey can lead up to one mountain. Maybe I have to zoom out, Anna. I'm going over the frame. It can also lead to other mountains that are even further away. And yeah, what has struck me personally is really the part here, how I have to personally change or get the mindset of Dragon Dreaming, so that I can then also use the tools at hand. Who of you knows, for example, design thinking? Maybe just raise your hand. Design thinking. Yeah, I've attended a design thinking workshop a couple years ago and thought like, wow, it's all applying like tools, but you can apply the tools to anything. Like you can build weapons using design thinking in a very rapid process, design thinking process. But with Dragon Dreaming, you basically cannot. And that's because it has a very strong value basis. So if your value basis does not match the purpose or the project of building weapons, for example, then you just can't do it because the values that you embrace, they just don't match. So next thing is that I will go to the DNA of Dragon Dreaming. So the 3 pillars of Dragon Dreaming, and that's where the value basis is or that is what the value basis is composed of, is personal growth, it's community building, and it is service to the earth. If we have those 3, we basically get into a win-win-win game of everything that I do or we do together is serving 3 purposes. 1, I win. At the same time, we as a team, as a society, as a community, we win. And we strive to let the earth win as well. To try to make everyone win in that case, or if we are taking something from the earth, that we also give back as much as possible. Later, I will give also examples. So for now, bear with me that this is now a bit theoretical. Mm-hmm. We also have 2 dimensions that are being considered. One in x-axis and one in y-axis. And this is one that is called theory. That's a bit thick. And practice. So everything that we do, it starts with a thought. And only when we put the thought into practice, like, for example, I want to build a house. I can think about a house, but then it's still not there. As soon as I start building or speaking with an architect, I go into practice. So I basically go back and forth between theory and practice. And another dimension is between the individual and the environment. It's supposed to be an earth with little people on top of it, if you can't recognize that. Environment. In the background, you might hear my daughter. She's 15 months old. She wants to know why Mama is behind the door. Yeah. So our thoughts are at first happening within us. Like our thoughts usually, I don't know if there's someone out there, someone of you can read other people's thoughts, but usually thoughts happen and start within ourselves in the individual, and then gradually we share it. I go towards the outside. So this access from individual to environment, it encompasses also like talking to a friend, talking to my family, talking to people in a company, talking to an architect. If I want to build a house, then the architect starts talking to the people who are building the house, to all the workers there. So this group of people, or my thought going towards the environment, is the group of people is just expanding. And maybe if you think about the opera in Sydney, for example, or the Eiffel Tower, all of a sudden the whole world knows about a building like that. So we go to that environment. Keep these axes in mind. I will erase them as to not confuse the picture that I'm going to draw right now. You can always bring it back. In the back, I will draw a bit of a spiral, because that's what the process is going to be about. It's going in circles and enters the new round with a new quality. And we're going to have 1, 2, oops, that was wrong. 2, 3 elements that are going to help us. And that is, first one is going to be this guy. Come here. So a lot of people want, maybe you can zoom into that dragon, Anna. A lot of people ask, of course, like, why is it called Dragon Dreaming? The creator of Dragon Dreaming is John Croft. He's actually a co-creator. His wife, Vivian Elanta, and they have been working a lot with original people in Western Australia, and they incorporated the culture and the thinking of the people over there into kind of Western project management. They did a lot of cultural projects, a lot of community projects over there. They also worked in Papua New Guinea. And one of the kind of spirit animals of the original people in Western Australia is the rainbow serpent, or called the Vaugil. When John Croft went to Europe because he followed a call to bring Dragon Dreaming to Europe, he discovered that the rainbow serpent does not ring a bell with people here at all. So he was looking for another spirit animal that works in this field of the culture. And if you see, the dragon is standing for something that is in the way, that is guarding something. In that picture you see the treasure. And in European mythology, usually the dragon gets killed. And in dragon dreaming, we don't want to kill the dragon because it's part of the earth. We don't want to hurt it. And so we invite you to dance with the dragon. So a dragon can be either a person that is annoying in your life or is in the way of achieving your dream. The dragon can also be circumstances like we want to have a concert, an outdoor concert tomorrow, and rain is coming down from the sky, and that can also be a dragon, or we can experience it as a dragon. And we invite people to start dancing with the dragons instead of starting to not wanting them in their life or keeping them out. The second element is charismatic communication. Up. Let's put it here. Maybe I delete some of the drawing in the background. So. Up. What do we mean by charismatic communication? What I've encountered when I was working as a consultant is that a lot of times when we were in a meeting, people made an agreement, or like CEOs made an agreement of a joint venture or some other important decision. It appeared that everyone is in agreement, and then maybe the joint venture could go on, and only like the employees could exchange documents and so forth and make the deal happen. And very often I could encounter that about 2 weeks later, all of a sudden one of the CEOs said, no, the deal is off. And I wondered what it was. And at that time I was a junior consultant. I was there only I was the fresh person, and I did not really realize what was happening, or that I had a gift of sensing something in the room that what was being spoken was not true. And now I know a lot of times people don't, or we don't really know what we really want. What is the actual thing that is close to our heart. And in charismatic communication, we apply a form of deep listening as a form of meditation, where we get into conversation with ourselves. At the same time, we can also expand our awareness to other people, to the person we're speaking to the person that we're listening to. So it is about listening and speaking from the heart, and saying things that we truly mean, and not just that we think that we mean. So maybe some of those deals could have been saved, or a lot of work that a lot of people had to do was not in vain, would not have been in vain if CEOs or the people in deciding functions had really listened to themselves and truly listened to each other. So charismatic communication is the second part of the DNA. Third part of the DNA. I don't have a picture of that yet, so I will draw one. It's called no compromise. And there, who of you, can I see that? Who of you knows what a compromise is? Bit hard for me to see everyone. I see one reaction button going up. More reaction buttons going up. Thank you. And how do you feel when you do a compromise? Do we have a reaction button for how do you feel when you do a compromise? Not really. There are some reactions coming up. Thank you. A drawing how I feel when I do a compromise is that someone has bitten something out of my belly. So I don't really feel at ease. So when we have a compromise, we don't really have an agreement. In Germany, we just had elections where the parties then now have to form a coalition, and usually what we will have for everyone is this little part of agreement. And this principle of no compromise, it doesn't mean that you never do a compromise, but it invites you to always strive for the win-win solution, which could look like something like this. I'm going to see. That's for the 100% solution. Voila. And if you don't find the 100% solution, you're either fine doing a compromise, but that's also 100% solution because you have talked about it and you made an agreement. Or you just say, okay, that was not what we had in mind. And we say goodbye. And stay friends. So it's totally fine. We invite you to speak about it and say like, okay, we don't have an agreement. It's fine. There will be a different occasion, or maybe it's not the time, or whatever. Maybe it just wasn't supposed to be. The invitation is there to not stop at a compromise, but actually go for your dreams. We too often do not go after our dreams. I have 3 more elements that I will just briefly show you. So 1, 2, this one I will make smaller. Then it also fits. Zip. So next element is the pinakari. Oops. Pinakari. It's called deep listening, or it means deep listening in the language of the Noongar in Western Australia. I will do an exercise at the end of our workshop with you. And another tool are generative questions. And the third one are ahas. So, hop, hop, hop. And we will experience the win-win concept. We will experience some pinakari, some form of pinakari at the end of the workshop, and ahas also. And you already have been experiencing a generative question. Generative question for the check-in was, why are you here? Or, what have you been dreaming about lately? A generative question is a question that opens up your mind to start thinking, also the who you are. I forgot your name, Amir. Yeah, you shared like it was difficult to say who you are because it's so open. So your mind automatically starts generating ideas and starts thinking. And we use that power of words. You can also say it's like magic of words. If we use wording and words intentionally, very positively, or also with that power of asking generative questions, we can kind of tickle out the dreams that are stuck in you, or what is truly something you want to carry out in the world. And who of you knows that the thing that you really, really want to do, you might hold back and close to your heart because you don't want anyone to have it crushed. So yeah, with Dragon Dreaming, we try to create safe spaces and incorporate habits and also rituals so that we become more and more vulnerable, but also feel more and more safe, so that those dreams that are very close to our heart have a safe space to come out. Are there questions to this quite long block of what is Dragon Dreaming about and what's the DNA of Dragon Dreaming? If you have any thoughts, you can also always type it in the chat. Okay, no questions so far. Anna, we can go over to the next part, which is going from theory to practice. Because this is an exercise now. You remember the dimension on the y-axis from theory to practice? Now you had theory, now we go into some action. And if you want to, you can stretch a bit. So the next exercise, it's called Let's Plan a Party, the win-win way. At the same time, we're also going to experience what it means to be in win-lose conversation. And the whole world is full of win-lose conversations. One of the last examples I have is like I don't have to, but I did apply to children's money. You get that in Germany, like when you have a child, you have to apply, you fill out this form, like lengthy forms, it's multiple forms, and because we live in a different country than Germany, like it's 2 more forms or 3 more forms, I don't remember it. And the language being used there, I find it very win-lose, because I felt the whole time that I have to prove that I'm a mother. I have to prove that I have a child. I have to prove that I'm not a fraud. I'm like, but the proof is here. This is my child. I gave birth to her. Why do I have to prove anything else? Why do I have to fill in my address and the social security number of my husband like multiple times and in every form again and again and again? Isn't it enough that they know that I exist and my daughter exists in the government because I showed them the child, and it now has a social security number in the system? No, I have to fill in 5 forms and prove it again. So this is some win-lose language and conversation that I have recently been having. And we're going to plan a party. First, using 2 types of win-lose language and then 1 type of win-win language. So you will go into breakout rooms as pairs. So 2 people in 1 room. You will plan a party and then you come back. Then you plan a new party using a different language, and then a 3rd time again. So I will post it in the chat. And I will share it again later. Maybe Anna, you and I, we make an example. Yeah, Anna. This weekend, why don't we have a party? We could do that at my place. What do you think?
No, I think that we should do it somewhere in like fresh air, just be outdoors.
Okay. No, I think we should do that in my place.
No, but like people have spent so much time indoors, I think that it will become so welcome if they get to be outside. And
No. Okay. Well, I think you get it. It's very easy. I would leave you with the same person, but this is technically not possible. So the second time you go into another room with a yes, but you will be with a different person, planning a different party. Maybe it's also good. And the third time again. So are there any questions to that process? So you now go into breakout rooms as pairs, 2 people in 1 room, and you plan a party using the no. And you will have, let's give you 1 minute. I think that's a very short one. Anna, can you make it 1 minute?
yeah.
Are there any questions? I don't see anybody having questions. Good.
Okay.
Cool. See you in a minute. Okay. Welcome back. So next round, you get 2 minutes and you plan a party. Instead of no, you say yes, but, and add to whatever your partner is proposing. Okay, any questions to that? Okay, you get 2 minutes in breakout rooms and you're in pairs. And then you come back. See you in 2 minutes. Welcome back. Now you get a third round, and now you plan the party answering yes and you will get 3 minutes. Welcome back. So how was it? What kind of experience have you had? And maybe you want to share, like whoever wants to share something, just open the mic. Or write it in the chat.
Hey, do you hear me?
Yes.
So the first and the second round was very frustrating and very complicated. Like nothing was possible at all. And then the last round, was just fun. Like, everyone added their ideas, and the whole project, the whole party was like, it was just working so great.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Rahel.
Yeah.
Anybody else who would like to share? It's an invitation, you don't have to. Rada says, so nice. In the third round, we're going to have a big, nice, beautiful party. Yeah.
Yeah, for us, it grew so much that at the end we agreed to start a village. So it started with a party, festival, and then all year long. I mean, but the cool thing is that you cannot stop it. It keeps on growing and growing.
Yeah. Barbara has a comment.
Yeah. I thought, hey, so it was really uncomfortable to do parts 1 and 2 because I was feeling like a horrible person. I just kind of felt like I would, I'm going to have to take a shower after this meeting just so I can get all of this negativity off of me. So, yeah.
Maybe the third one served as a shower. Yes, and shower. Anybody else?
I think we need to compromise. Part 1 and part 2 made me feel uncomfortable, but part 3 just as well, because it went beyond limits.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. Of course, these are 3 extremes, right? And I chose them especially for you to experience the extremes. And if we really planned the party, of course, there would be some part that at some part we would become realistic again. Like, okay, what's our budget? Can we do that in that short time? For example, maybe we only have 2 weeks. Can we build a village in 2 weeks? Maybe not. But if we think big, like let's build a village in 30 years, why not? That seems more possible. But yeah, I'm glad that this exercise worked, because usually I do dragon dreaming workshops in person, and then you can like do games with your thumbs or with your arms, and here I had to find something different, so I'm very glad that it worked. Anna.
Wollte ich denn mein Mikrofon wieder aus?
Ich mach das jetzt gerade aus. Ich mach das jetzt aus.
Ja.
Super.
So I've been meaning to say, related to what Ralph just said, that so I in real life, we always start, or we sometimes, depending on the purpose of the conversation, but we usually start with a container, right? So we usually have some limits, some boundaries. We have a box where we need to create, and that is limiting enough. Although sometimes boundaries can unleash creativity because we're forced to think outside the box, inside the box, or how you want to call it. But I think that that's the key, combining yes and with a boundary or a box will really unleash the creativity and make sure that you can reach the fullest of the potentials in those boundaries that you've set, whatever those boundaries are.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, Anna. All right, let's move on. Are you ready for the next part? It's called, Where Can You Apply Dragon Dreaming? Of course, if you're not ready, raise your hand and say, no, stop. Anna, you can share again the... Yeah, exactly. That's what we had. I thought like, okay, I'm looking at a blank page. I have to draw something. No, we created a poll. As we go here, I'm also experiencing all the features of Butter, and I'm quite delighted. So it's not that you should say, where can you apply Dragon Dreaming? We're actually asking which part interests you the most. So I have examples from a company project. I have an example from a community project. I also have an example with me from a culture project, and I have an example from applying it in your personal life. Depending on the time left that we have available, so at the moment we still have like 20 minutes, I will deep dive into one of the topics or possibly two. I prepared all of them, so please vote what you're most interested in deep diving right now. All right. We have personal life, 5 people interested. Community projects, 4 people interested. And company projects and culture projects, 1. So let's start with personal projects. In the past, 9 years, since 2012, I've not only attended the workshop or did the trainer of Dragon Dreaming, I also was thinking, like every time I gave a workshop, a training, and afterwards people were always so enthusiastic about applying it in their life, but only a few actually really do apply it on a daily basis. So what I did then is look into my own life, like how do I apply it? And, also taught it to a couple people who have been coachees of mine throughout the years. And the book that I wrote, I just finished it before my daughter was born, so I haven't really done anything with it. But it's also meant to be work in progress, so that as I'm working with people, or people are starting working with the book or in the exercises in the book, that they give me their insights on what is working and what is not working. So far, I'm getting quite good feedback. And how does that work? We actually have, let me draw again. Dum, dum. So we do have the two axes. Yeah, you remember, with the individual and the environment. And the theory and the practice. The Dragon Dreaming suggests a Dragon Dreaming wheel. So, like this, with one part called dreaming, planning, doing, and celebrating. And since it's from Australia, and water goes in Australia the other direction than on the northern hemisphere, and also the houses of snails, they grow in a different direction. The thinking in a circle is different from what we know in Western Europe. So it goes anti-clockwise. It's also quite nice because it makes our current thinking, like it disrupts our normal thinking. It just, like we go out of it. So it goes from right to left. The left side, planning and doing, you know, I'm pretty sure you know planning and doing. Because this is what our world is made of, our society. Like we plan, we do, we plan, we do, we plan, we do, we plan, we do. And then we crash. So 2011, that was my personal crash. Because I'm, as a consultant, I've been planning and doing and planning and doing. And I remember going to a client at 5 in the morning and coming back at 10 in the evening and having done late sessions to get that presentation done. And the next day, yeah, everyone had to appear again at 8 or 9 in the morning, which didn't make sense to me. I thought, like, we worked our asses off. Why don't we take some time to celebrate? And celebrating doesn't mean, oh, well, it also doesn't mean like, yay, we did it. But it also means recuperating. It also means sleeping. And it also means mourning when something did not work out as we dreamt about. So dreaming might be the obvious part of Dragon Dreaming because it's in the name, Dragon Dreaming. But the even more important part, I find, at least for us in Western Europe, is taking care of celebrating. We're really good in planning and also in doing, especially in Germany. Like, Germans are really, really, really zack, 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 very great in doing, like, planning everything out so that there cannot be any mistake. But if there's a mistake happening, it's like the end of the world. So we are really bad in celebrating. So what I suggest doing when I work with someone, and I also do that in my personal life, as soon as I feel something that doesn't feel right, or I feel restless, I try to apply certain practices that I've gathered over the years. And one practice is the Pinakari. In Dragon Dreaming, it's called Pinakari. You can also call it meditation or whatever it is that has the quality. Pinakari. If you look for Pinakari, try to search for writing it with double R or with only one R, because the original people, they don't have a written language. It's all passed on verbally. Anna says, this really resonates. Why is celebrating so hard? Maybe one of you has an idea. Why is celebrating so hard? You can write it in the chat if you want. You can also raise your hand and unmute your microphone. I'll try an answer. I don't know if it's an answer, but it's a guess that I have. I guess that we're just not used to it. There has not been so much space, open space for celebrating. There's space for celebrating in a powerful way, in a like open way, and like, hey, I achieved something. Hey, I did well. I am amazing. But for the part of I'm vulnerable, I feel shitty. I have my menstruation. I don't want to go out and meet people. I feel very inward drawn. If you go back to that circle, Anna, you see the little person. It's an individual there. It's just one person. We can, on the spectrum of being an individual, like we can draw, on the internal side, but we can also go towards the outward side. So in terms of celebrating, there's Pinakari, listening to yourself, speaking charismatically with yourself. What else do I do? I do journaling. I write a lot. And I have a couple of things that I do in the morning, kind of habits. If I do those first thing and nothing else, then I feel content and at ease for anything else in the day. One is having water, having breakfast, if I feel like having a shower, having a walk together with my daughter, of course, making sure that she has everything she needs. And only then, when we come back, we do something else. And by now I timed that. And I also do that with my clients, like how long do the things that you really want to do in the day that are really important to you, and without it, you don't feel like a whole person. How much time does it need? And with everything included, like also sleeping the amount of time that I need to sleep. We sleep usually until 8:30, my daughter and I. My husband, he gets up earlier. I don't schedule anything before 10:30 because everything that we do needs time. But everything else from 10:30 on, I can have a call. I can have a meeting. I can go shopping. I can go to the grocery store, whatever. But I know that until 10:30, if I get out of the house earlier, it's fine, but it's not a must. So by just being conscious and going that circle, like going first into dreaming or not celebrating. Can you go back to that picture with the Pinakari? Yeah. You see, here's something that I call the frustration dump. Only if I'm aware of what is actually frustrating me or not healthy for me in my life, I put into that dump. I write it down either in my journal or on Post-its or whatever. Choose whatever medium is fine for you. And only then I'm aware of what is not working in my life, what is not supporting the win-win-win that I actually want to have. Before our daughter was born, we thought about like how can we decrease the impact that having a baby has on the environment. For example, we didn't want to use throwaway diapers, so we did some research, and now we are using washable diapers, and we are not having like to even decrease that part. we are using washable diapers that are secondhand, because the really good quality ones, they can go for years. You can also repair them a bit. So we're using washable diapers. And also we have, so obviously that was the frustration, like having a child means like dumping a lot of diapers into the environment. And to decrease the washing, if possible, we even tried from the beginning if she would pee in the pot. So you can look at the signs of your baby, and if you're aware of like how the body reacts, you can be early enough to take off the diaper and hold your baby over a little pot, and the baby pees in the pot. So it doesn't work always, but it's way less than I think other babies do in the diaper. Yeah, so being aware of your frustrations, that's part of celebrating. And then I immediately, maybe you notice, immediately went into dreaming. If you go back to that dreaming circle, the dragon dreaming circle, I immediately went into dreaming. So with that diaper example, it's, I imagine, like, are there ways, that's a generative question, are there ways of having a baby and doing it in a more environmentally friendly way? And with that question, that's part of the dreaming. Different ideas and answers came out. I went into planning, which is researching, like, what solutions are there, or throughout the years, I've been aware that other people have been using washable diapers. And oh my God, there are so many different systems out there. And then the doing part was just using them, learning how to use them, and then also testing different systems and going back into celebrating and saying, okay, that system works for us and that other system doesn't work for us. And then, yeah, the circle goes on. Are there questions right now? Anything else you would like to know from applying dragon dreaming into your own life?
I think we should break down celebrating to its elements. Celebrating can mean have a 3-day parties with 500 people, but celebrating can also mean sit down in the sunshine and enjoy your cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the little celebrations I'm thinking of now. We can have them all of the time.
Yep.
But be aware of them, and they keep us going.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, Ralph. Exactly. So celebrating is a kind of a big container, and worth exploring more, and a part that we haven't explored so well in Western European society, I would say. Are there any more insights, questions, ahas? Anna is asking, do you have to close the cycle before you start? I think you automatically do that. Usually we say in dragon dreaming that when you're stuck, when you have the feeling you're stuck, you probably did not properly do one of the phases. You tried to jump one of the phases. So I would say yes, you're closing the cycle before you start. If you feel like you're stuck with a project, what example I have? Like in the background, you see a plan. It's kind of it's a game plan on the one hand. As one element of dragon dreaming, you apply systemic thinking also, or systems thinking. When you go into planning. And I wrote the book based on the dragon dreaming process. And I was stuck because I felt the call of writing a book, but then I didn't really know what exactly I should write it about. I knew it had to do with dragon dreaming, and I couldn't go forward in the doing. Like, I was stuck in the planning and the doing, and I realized that I tried to write like 5 books at the same time. I had like too many topics in my head. So once I realized that, and then this celebrating part, it took quite a while, like a half a year. I talked to many people about that. I interviewed many people in the dragon dreaming world. It took me a while of celebrating, like just exploring, until I realized, I want to write 5 books at the same time. This is not possible. And once I had that, it went on again. I could dream again. I could go into planning the next chapters and rearrange what I had written so far, and went into flow again. So, Joanna, any suggestions on how to do the deep listening part in the dreaming phase? Good question. I think if you don't have any other questions, we could move on to exactly that part, because I prepared an exercise to do deep listening here in that workshop. But before we do that, I want to know, is there anything else that you are interested in? Are there any other questions right now? Anna.
I just have a comment, because coming from learning and development, the entire circle seems so familiar to the Kolb's experiential learning cycle as well. And in there, a very big part of how we learn and how we make progress is the reflection part. Is the reflection part part of the celebrating?
Yeah.
So even because I guess that we, or at least from my perspective, I tend to celebrate when things go well. So for me, the word celebration is associated with success.
Mm-hmm.
But I think and I assume that in dragon dreaming, celebration means just an end of it. It means whatever happens at the end of doing something.
Exactly.
And if at the end of doing there's a result that doesn't make you happy, that celebration is a reflection. That celebration is I think you've mentioned mourning, right?
Yeah.
And then you make sense of that, and then you go on into dreaming. And I guess that's such an important distinction, because my brain, when I think about celebration, I don't think about failure. I think about success and parties and yay.
Exactly.
That's it. That's me and my brain. I had to say it out loud to make sense of it. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. Celebration is, in that sense, not the perfect word, but at some point we need to choose a word to make a definition. And then as we go, as we learn together, we say that we can experience celebrating is not only yay, we have a party, we did well, but it's also going into reflection, into mourning, into looking at the things that did not go well. Yeah. Okay. I think we are well into time. I'm also very glad about that. So Joanna and Barbara are really interested in the deep listening part. I have prepared a pinakari for you. So let me open it, because I will doing that with you live. Okay, what I have here is a singing bell. Some of you might know that. It's a music instrument basically, that also is used by Buddhists, and the deep listening, you find that in many cultures, and I think one of the most well-known practices comes from Buddhist practice, and maybe you know Thich Nhat Hanh. He is a Vietnamese Buddhist, and he has been he has done a lot of speaking, like on the internet, but also elsewhere, and teaches deep listening. And I give you a glimpse of that. And Pinakari, how I feel about it, it's the same quality of deep listening. In the language of the original people of Western Australia, it means ears standing up. So like a kangaroo that has its ears standing up and really deeply, carefully listening to what is happening, not only listening through the ears, but also listening through the feet, how the connection is to the ground. You know, the animals, they are really good in feeling vibrations, listening with your heart. And yeah, I have a meditation for you. And I invite you to close your eyes, to sit in a position that you feel most comfortable in, that your feet are firmly on the ground, that you feel stable. I invite you to maybe also turn off the camera if that makes you feel more comfortable. You can do that, you don't have to. I invite you to just experience whatever this is. Take a deep breath. A deep inhale. And also a deep exhale. If you can, listen to the sound of the air moving through your nose, your throat, and your lungs. Notice how your chest and belly are being moved up and down by your breathing. If there is any, be aware of any tension in your body, in and around your neck, your shoulders, your back, your hip, your legs, your arms, your hands, your feet. Imagine that with every out-breath, you're providing a way for any tension to leave the body and for your body to relax more and more. Feel the connection that you have with yourself, with your body, with the surfaces you are touching. Finally, let go even more and arrive where you always wanted to arrive. Feel how you can expand your consciousness to fully include yourself, and not only yourself, also the ground you are in connection with. your house, the street, the grass, the trees, every living being on earth, the world, the universe you live in, everything and beyond. Feel the invisible bubble that surrounds you, and in your special kind of way, expand it. Slowly, slowly expand it. And while you're expanding your personal bubble, you invite the world and the universe to become part of you. And with the sound of the singing bell, I invite you to come back in your own pace, slowly opening your eyes to say goodbye in our round here. And if you want to, you can write in the chat words of appreciation, words of ahas, of insights, and words of goodbye. Thank you very much for being with us here, and I hand back the word to Anna.
Thank you so much, Federica, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm very happy that I got a glimpse into dragon dreaming, and it's definitely, I knew why my brain cannot grasp it. It's something that you have to sit with and digest and talk about and experience. But thank you so much for bringing us a taste of that, Federica. I'm super happy that it's almost the end of the day here in Amsterdam, so I can leave now with this peaceful mind and close my day. But for the rest of you, enjoy your evenings or your rest of the day or your mornings. And I hope to see you soon in one of our next events. And take care. Thank you so much, Federica. That was really amazing. Yay. Happy fingers. Jolly fingers. Thanks a lot, everyone.